Agents Mulder and Scully, FBI.
Get it! Two. Wait! Stop! No! 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 No!
Good evening, everybody.
I don't know what that's from, but I love it.
It's
yeah,
from the
it's like
Wild Robot, I think.
yeah, I think
Is what
so.
that
Yeah,
movie's called.
that's it.
Yeah, a lot of
like-
people like the movie.
I gotta get that clip.
Oh
Yes.
man.
Is that how you deal with raccoons at your house?
Yeah, just lure them up a tree and slingshot them away.
I mean that's solid like Acme Wile E. Coyote logic there, so I see no problem with it.
No, they like shiny objects. Just
Yeah.
lure them with that.
Hmm.
So, how are we tonight, gentlemen?
Doing all
How
right?
you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've had better days. I've also had worse days, and I totally not the reason that we started a little bit late because I definitely did not fall asleep at my desk and wake up 5 minutes after we were supposed to start. I'll just fess up to it.
So yeah, these episodes were good. The last two, I think, were the best. Shieldwall, how are you doing? Sorry,
I'm
forgot
doing
to
good.
ask you.
Yeah, glad to be here. So yeah, these were decent. The first episode that we're gonna watch was it was okay, but the next two are really good. They're some of the better ones. Well, especially the second one is one of the better ones in the series. I think it's at least in the top three.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, I'm trying to type
Yeah.
something in the chat and my mouse isn't working.
So I'm getting called out in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Squeaker, how you doing?
Yeah. Hey, Squeaka, how's it going? Speaking of mouses not working,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe mouse that works too much.
I don't know. Yeah, I was about to say she might take offense to that. You don't know.
Yeah, I'll share the screen here. We'll get going.
All right. Mice always work hard.
They do.
So this episode deals with a little bit with some religion, and I don't know if they're that big now, but back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, you had like these great big evangelical church networks that were they were huge. They had,
Oh yeah.
hundreds of thousands of followers, and they were pulling in millions and millions of dollars, and there were a bunch of scandals with them that brought a lot of them down. And whenever you have an organization this big, organizations that big, there's going to be rumors and all kinds of stuff and money going to people's heads and everything like that. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what this story is going to revolve around, but also the power of like faith healing and things like that. And so this is 1983. I believe it's in
Yeah.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Good year.
And there's been an accident, and this person's horribly burned. And they're like, "Hey, that guy's dead." And he's like, "Well, the little boy can heal what's harm is it going to do if he's already dead? Well, I don't know, harm the psyche of some kid by having him hold the hand of a burn
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I guess go for it. And somehow the kid brings him back to
I
life.
mean, based on what we see in a little bit from this, it seems like this would have been in the X Files, not something that Scully would have brought to Mulder. Like, hey, so this thing is happening, and Mulder's like, oh, whatever, we'll check it out. Like this
Yeah,
seems like something that would have been there.
there was a few times in this episode where I was like, what are they, you know what I mean? Like Scully is messing stuff up and, you know, being little miss, I
Yeah,
forgot my gun. Um a couple times throughout
yeah.
this. But
Healy
so
doesn't
but
mean
here's
nothing.
the other thing though, is my first thought was, well, if it's not going to totally heal your body, it's going to bring you back to life. Why would you want to be brought back all burned up like that? You got
Yeah,
third degree burns over your entire body. What kind of
yeah.
life are you going to have?
This is
You know?
one of the first things I thought from this episode before we get to the end when we learn what is actually going on is like just because you're back doesn't mean you're like not necessarily suffering. Like you could be
Right.
brought back to life, but still technically you might be dying constantly. And they don't really get detailed in it, but they leave enough kind of open that you can kind of anticipate or make your own assumptions on things. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
yeah, especially like dying in a fire, being brought back and not necessarily understanding if you were actually brought back or just
Hey,
constantly dying but
you
not
only healed me
dead sort of
halfway.
thing. Yeah. But it's kind of interesting that this is something she brings to him and he's like, "All right, let's check it out." She's like, "What, really?" It's like, "Yeah, let's check it out."
Yeah, he usually has like the in on so many weird things. A lot of times it doesn't really explain how they got the the uh the file or the investigation. Like it just we got it because we work in this office. So they don't really ever
Mhm.
go into that a lot of times because maybe you don't need to. They're just like,
Yeah.
there's a process. But yeah, so having this like tent set up where it's mobile and it moves around almost like a circus and it
Yeah, I
is
mean,
like it's almost a circus
I mean,
atmosphere.
they
And
did
they were
do
really
this back. They did do this called tent making pastors, and they would go around like this, but it wasn't like,
it was hugely
a
popular in
healing
like the
thing. It
20s and
was,
30s
yeah,
in America. Like the 20s and 30s, it really got big. Um, I mean,
I
it was
mean, I
before that, even in the 1800s, but it got
but
yeah.
really big in the
it
20s
was
and
like,
30s.
it was just preaching, really preaching the word
Hmm.
of God, not healing and snake wrangling, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
you
I
had,
can I can say is like I'll just throw this out there. Shocker for folks who don't know. Son of a pastor right here. Uh even back in the day, like some of this like over the top, like dramatic, like showy style sort of, quote unquote faith healing is all it has always struck me as like, yeah, but really?
yeah, I
So
mean, there's a lot of different,
I mean, this actually poses the question: what if you were actually given this ability,
yeah, it's
to
true.
do this?
Yeah, that's
mhm.
exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
Now I might have missed something,
I,
but I don't understand why the sheriff doesn't like this, like he doesn't believe in it or whatever. Um,
Yeah, I didn't catch that either.
something
I thought
about his
maybe I just missed it because
wife
I was watching
being
everything kind of like
having
quickly.
some,
like yeah,
something
there's
about his
something
wife
wrong with her.
having some debilitating arthritis or something like that.
Right, she has arthritis really bad to where she can't walk. But why he won't let her go in there and like try to see this guy or whatever. I don't know if there's like a backstory to it. Maybe he saw, I don't know. I I might have missed that part when I was watching it. But
Yeah, I think she actually has a okay. If she's the one that we see later on, because I can't remember if we see if she's the same person we see later on. she specifically, they say, has MS.
No, that's the other girl.
Okay.
That's the other
Yeah.
girl. Also, if you look at the crowd, it's very diverse. Um, uh, and that's to show that people believe in the power and are coming here and all that kind of stuff from
Yeah.
far and wide to be healed. Now, obviously, they're selling a lot of merch and stuff, and that's how they're making a lot of money through donations. But people are legitimately being healed, like cancer gone,
Yeah.
spinal cord repaired, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, except for this specific instance where they show up and he's like, "Hey, the guy that does everything that, or my son who can do all this, he's not going to be here for a couple days, so come back."
That's
Somebody
because
died
he has
when
a
he tried to heal
crisis of
somebody.
faith and he's on a bender,
Yep.
smoking and drinking.
Yeah, he tried to heal somebody and they died instead of
Right.
being healed.
Howdy, KG.
Which, okay, so
Hey there.
this is my
Welcome.
plot hole with this whole thing. Well, I'll talk about it later because I don't want to give away like the whole thing right up front.
I mean, it is kind of obvious that that specific character is somebody different. I mean, my first inclination, because I hadn't seen this episode, at least not enough to remember it, was like an official Man in Black sort of thing. But then we find out a little bit more later on that, yeah,
That's the burn dude.
yep,
I knew that right from the beginning
Hey, love it.
that he was the guy with the
Yeah.
dark shades and everything was the guy that
oh,
got
I just kind
And
of
then
assumed
they
he was
make
like,
it pretty clear.
yeah,
He's got the glasses though, so he's probably got the little neuralizer thing.
I mean, he could also be the long lost third Blues brother, so we don't know.
He could. So somehow
If these
they've
are X files, then what are they exactly now? Just paper, PDFs,
paper, PDF files.
PDF
Yeah, so
files are different thing these
somehow
days.
this group here has blocked the police from doing any
right. Okay, so
what's the word?
so one person
Autopsies.
died already, which triggered the investigation. A second person died that was supposed to be healed. So they want to exhume the body, but all the people of the congregation come out and they're like, nah, that's against our religion and all this kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I mean,
And they're like, okay, we'll have to go away then. And even though it's like a court order and stuff, they'll go do some other investigating because
in
they're
a
not going to get it
small
done.
town, you can. I hate the fact that this is true, but in a small town, the big church, quote unquote, can throw a lot of weight around and influence everything. And that's kind of what I got the feeling here is like this is
Yeah.
like
That,
the church, the group, and everything that's kind of influencing everything and everybody.
because the kid has the power, the healing power, and it's legitimate healing power.
Yeah.
They have a lot of power because there's a lot of people in town that are backing it. Like the sheriff was trying to do this so that nobody knew, but somebody in the sheriff's organization or the coroner's office or whatever is part of this congregation or has sympathy for him, so they let them know. So they showed up in mass
Yeah.
to like shut it down.
Yeah.
So now they're going to go talk to the kid and try to find
I don't
out
know
more.
why. When I was thinking of this episode, I pictured this guy looking like Dark Man with bandages all around his face.
I mean, it's kind of because of the glasses, maybe, and the hat.
It's
You could see it, how your mind could make that, because he's very
Yeah.
white. He's very white as well, almost like a not natural. I mean, he's not naturally white. You can tell it's like makeup and stuff.
He's practically glow in the dark.
Yeah, but that might be an effect of the healing, right?
Yeah.
So it like totally healed him up. Wasn't like it just brought him back. It healed his skin, but not perfectly.
Right.
That's what I said. Looks like a Blues
Yeah.
Brother.
Also, apparently that fire didn't do anything to his hair, or the healing effect made his hair grow back. Or he's
I
wearing
think
a wig or
I,
something.
I think later on
I
we
think
see that
that's
he
it.
actually had been wearing a wig because when we see him in bed, I think he's bald.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I may be wrong, but I think so.
So now they go to it's got to be the one bar in town, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, because everybody already knows who the guy is when they walk in.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking about this guy. Yeah, he's the guy over there who's just getting wasted.
He'd just been in a fist fight, too. Hey, Emma.
Oh, howdy, Emma. I mean, that kind of would be kind of interesting. Like if let's think of this. If like your entire life you've been given these like healing powers and something may have changed, like getting out there and just like doing everything and getting into fights, that this all makes perfect sense for the character that kind of we at least as we're described.
I mean, look, if you look at it at his point of view, he's got this gift and he's being used to make money.
Yeah.
That's got to mess with you. Especially if it's real, everything's real.
I mean,
that your
even
healing is real.
Yeah, even some of the other like the twists that we've seen aside where people don't get healed. If you have healing hands, it kind of makes sense you just get into fights because you know that you're not really going to end up hurting anybody because they're going to heal up. So you're the only one getting hurt. It's a weird kind of like self-destructive cycle that actually kind of works with this character.
Yeah. Yeah, you break somebody's nose. Oh, it's broken. Whoa, wait, it's not broken.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I mean, I don't know if it's done intentionally, but we don't see anybody else in this bar that he has apparently been fighting with is bruised or bloodied. We just see him, and he's not healed. So, I mean,
Right.
kind of makes a little bit of sense
I
there.
mean, is it possible for him to heal himself? Like, might not work that way.
Right, exactly. Like, I mean, it could be his gift only works on other people, and he's willing to get into fights because he knows he can still heal those people that are fighting him and just take all the punishment for himself.
I don't think he really cares about the other people he's fighting. He just wants to get into fight so that he punishes himself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, because he's at that age. I don't know how old he is in this. He's 20 or something or whatever. Well, got to be 21 to be drinking.
I mean, 83 was when we first saw him, and he was
No,
probably
this is modern
10.
day 90. Oh yeah,
Well, I'm
83.
saying when we saw him, it was like 83, so he's probably 10-ish. So this would have been what?
93 was 10. Yeah, 93 was 10 more years. So
Okay.
he could have been 12. And
Yeah, so he's early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's not any older than 24.
Yeah.
But he's at least old enough to drink, or they just don't care in here.
It's a small town. There's a pretty good chance people might not care.
Because I want to say by
Mulder
93
here.
or 94, every place was 18 or was 21 instead of 18 for drinking.
Yeah.
If this had been in 83, there are places he probably could have drank at 18.
Hey, Nadia.
Howdy, Nadia.
He looks at Mulder here and says, "I can see this man has pain." And he's like,
Oh,
lost a young brother or a sister. And
Right.
Scully's
I
like,
forgot that.
"Oh yeah, this is fake. I'm out of here." And Mulder's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa."
Yeah, it's not even that he can just like heal, he can see things. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Right. But there are a lot of people that, tarot card readers and all that kind of stuff that do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They can ask you a couple questions or maybe do some research on you or something.
Yeah, it's like cold question or whatever it's called. But this is the moment where we see where it's gone a case that Scully wanted to solve to now the Mulder was just like, okay, we'll go, but now it has his full attention.
There's some ties there.
Yep.
Hey, look, Mulder can do worse. Let's all agree, Mulder can still do
Yeah.
worse.
Let's see what Mulder has.
So this is where they're setting.
Yeah.
They want to. They're like, hey, he's part of the community, and he's like, no, keep me in jail. I don't want to hurt anybody else. And they're like, okay, $100,000 bail.
Yeah. He just jumps up like, no, you can't let me back out there. Here's the lawyer, turns around, goes, what? He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, and you got to remember back then, $100,000 was a lot more money than it is now. So
Yeah.
that's like 200,000 or 300,000 now.
I mean, still, a lot of people don't realize whenever they set a bail, that means that somebody still has to pay it. So it's
Yeah,
not like it,
and it's usually when you go to the bondsman, it's like 10% of 100,000.
right.
So,
But then they get this whole like a plague of locusts thing going on.
yeah, they just start.
Yeah.
Now in the scene, they just start jumping around and coming out of nowhere. But later, you'd be able to see where they came from. Logically, you'd be able to tell that they came from the air vent. Anybody with a brain would be like, "Oh, that's where they're coming out of."
Looks like most of them are dead.
Yeah. See, I'm looking at this and thinking like, that's just what I deal with most like springs and summers when I'm out mowing and things like jumping. Look, it sounds weird because some people would think like, oh, this is gross. How look, if you work outside and you got a beard like this, sometimes bugs just jump up into it and start crawling in.
And
I mean,
you get used to it.
Big grasshoppers jump up and smack you in the side of the head.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's really all locusts are just bigger grasshoppers.
Giant grasshoppers.
Yeah. I think I've got a picture somewhere that like after I had done the job, like a couple hours of work, I took my hat off. And there was a big old grasshopper, kind of actually probably bigger than that, just sitting on top of my hat. It's like, all right.
I can't remember if they can bite you or not.
Chilling.
I used to pick them up when a kid all the time, but
technically, yes. Any insect with a significant size mandibles can technically bite you. It doesn't mean you're actually going to feel much pain or anything, but yeah,
I just remember that their legs probably hurt more because they have those little spines on them.
Oh, yeah, because their legs are so powerful.
Yeah, when they jump off of you, yeah.
Yeah, but now this is the even more the switch between Scully, who brought the case on, and Mulder, who just really didn't care, and he's buying into it now. He's reading the hotel Bible. Locust do bite, and Squeaka wants a beard just to get bugs. Okay, there are easier ways, let me tell you.
Yeah, but you know.
And Scully's like, well, this is a big agricultural area. There's going to be grasshoppers.
Right. There's going to be grasshoppers. It's like, come on. They just didn't get in there. That's why I don't really like this episode. A lot of the plot holes are kind of somebody put them in there. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of those like unfortunate like early series making Scully really kind of dumb scenes. Where she's like, there's fields out there. There's grasshoppers.
So they go to
sorry.
They go to this guy's house and he's living in like a giant mansion and stuff. So, and also this is like the 80s idea of what a cool mansion looked like. Back then. He's got all kinds of cars and stuff. So basically, he's made a lot of money with this kid. He does have a nice office, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Mulder actually seems to have a fairly normal tie on this time.
Yeah.
Just a black there's really, you could wear that today and get away with it.
It's fairly plain.
Yeah.
Now, we can't see the very tip of it. It might be fancy at the tip. Maybe.
Don't.
The only
Don't
thing
ask
that would
for the
really
tip.
make it worse if it was
Yep.
just squared off, like flat at the bottom, like an 80s tie.
I'm gonna regret that, aren't I, Beard?
Yeah.
You probably are. But I mean, I remember plenty of these that lasted long beyond when this episode aired. These over the top faith healers sort of thing. And again, this is coming from a pastor's kid. But I mean, I even back then saw this kind of stuff, like, but really? Are you
I think
sure?
when it really took a downturn in America is when the whole Jim Jones thing, because he was
Yeah.
one of these traveling tent pastors that really got a big following. Then they all moved to Guyana and they drank the Kool-Aid, which is where you get they drank the Kool-Aid term from.
I don't remember who the guy was, but there was the guy who got busted actually having an earpiece, and like his wife and like other people would extract information before.
Oh yeah, from the crowd. Yeah,
before
yeah.
and I'm doing big air quotes here, before the sermon, aka show. But then there was also the guy who Benny Hinn was the one that I knew. He like take his jacket off and he'd like swipe it at people and they would get healed or whatever. Again, big air quotes, healed.
If you weren't injured before, you would be afterward.
You will be now. But yes, Mulder gets a glimpse of, as we find out later, is his sister.
So was he projecting this into Mulder's head?
It's hard to say. I guess based on what we see later, maybe not intentionally. It might have been sort of a side effect of whatever his ability was to look into people's minds, kind of manifested it. But
it looks like Scully has football pads on.
Hey, don't hate the shoulder pads. Roman's going to show up and he's going to have birds. Oh, or love it. The area of shoulder pads.
Sorry, I was trying to look up who that little girl was playing his sister. I can't find it.
Actually, I will say the guy in the sunglasses, it's subtle, but his makeup actually is not too far off from a guy who used to show up at my GameStop way back in the day when I worked there, like early 2000s. That was a burn victim. Like the guy who came in was like 80% serious burns and survived. Now this guy that we see in the movie, or in the show, he's got a lot more functionality than I think a lot of other people who had gone through something similar would have. But it actually it kind of works. You don't have to go super crazy because it's not as far removed from, I guess, at the risk of sounding rude, quote unquote reality would be. Now he is pale, and I think it lends itself to what you said earlier. I think Shield about maybe he's wearing makeup and things like that.
Yeah. The so when they first got here, there was a person in a wheelchair, and he was handing out Diet Cola, right? So he made a point of him handing her Diet Cola. This lady, so who's got multiple sclerosis, MS, and she's here to get healed. And so she drank that Diet Coke that he handed her, and now he's going to heal her. And here's where the plot hole is for me. If he can heal her of MS and bring a dude back to life, wouldn't his healing, she dies while he's healing her. wouldn't his healing counteract the poison and bring her back?
Yeah.
If
Like-
I
okay,
think so.
yes. if I'm gonna push back against that, maybe his healing is okay. I was gonna say against natural causes, but the first guy we see him heal obviously didn't die of natural causes because it was fire, was burned.
Yeah, it should have just his healing should have been able to overcome it.
It
I
does
think.
ask some questions that I can't answer. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's moving the story along and all that kind of stuff, but
So what you were looking for earlier, Shield, the actress that plays the little girl that is Mulder's sister, is Brienne Bennett, and as far as I can tell, this is the only thing that
yeah,
she's
okay.
credited in
I was
on
wondering
IMDb.
if maybe because it's hard to tell with kids sometimes. Like they look
Yeah,
a certain way and then they're going to grow up.
yeah. According to IMDb, this is the only thing she is officially credited with.
Okay. Well, good for her. She got out of.
Yeah. I mean, she probably did some stage stuff up in Canada because
Yeah.
usually that's what you would see, but it's not credited.
So they get permission to do an autopsy on this lady that died.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at something. I missed the part where he was talking to Mulder about his sister. That was in the bar, wasn't
Right.
it? And
Mhm.
then she's like, "Officer, come over here and arrest this guy." Like, what are you doing? He's giving Mulder answers and you're blocking him. Mulder was going to get answers from that guy, more answers, and then she calls the cops over to like take him into custody. So I was like, what is she doing? If I was Mulder, I'd have been pissed at her. I'd be like, no. And she's worried, oh, it's going to emotionally damage him or something. I don't know. It was just
This
another
was a
way
little
to kind of draw
unnerving.
the whole what happened to his sister out for another 4 seasons.
This was a little unnerving. The sharpener here for the
Oh, like is a turkey carving?
yeah, that's the exact
The little
same
honing, the
sharpener.
blade honer. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I mean,
it
that-
does seem weird because we attribute that to like cooking and such.
Yeah,
but
butchery and cooking.
yeah, that. I mean, unless you have like these specialty honing stones, that's just this basic way of sharpening a blade.
Yeah, what that thing does is it hones it, so it's not
Yeah,
technically sharpening the blade. It's getting all the rough edges off of it from the last
Right.
few uses by pushing the metal all in one
but
direction.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure it was intentional to kind of make everybody kind of squeamish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they show the elapsed time, and he's like, "Look at her lungs. It's got holes where I put my fingers in them." That's what it looked like to me. Basically, this is where they said she died of like cyanide or arsenic poisoning.
hmm
Right.
It's like, hey, we're here to talk. By the way, you're innocent. Let's go.
Right.
And he's like, "I don't want to leave. I want to stay here." And yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense if like your entire life you were the guy who had the healing ability, and then suddenly it's everybody you try to heal dies. Yeah, it would make sense to have a crisis of faith and basically think that God had turned against you.
Right.
Then he gets other prisoners put in his cell and gets beat to death.
Yep. And there's definitely intentional imagery there with the shadow of him stretched with his
Right,
arms
right.
out and everything.
But this guy's a real piece of crap. Like, why would he do that? I still don't get it. And these guys are like, yeah, there was a problem down at the jail. Or wait, is this where they said you're gonna have to come with me?
Right. The
Yeah.
district attorney wants to question him. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a tie. Okay, that's definitely an ugly tie.
Yeah, there it is. We were about to get disappointed with Mulder's normal tie.
See, and he's wearing a basic white shirt too. You could do
That's
so
better.
many things with a basic white shirt. Just don't do that
Yeah.
with the tie.
Yeah, now they go up to the roof and are like, huh,
They do a
somebody
little
put
more looking.
potatoes here to lure the grasshoppers down in there. And also you can buy them in bulk from like certain companies that grow them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So as a result of cyanide and happiness. Nice, love it. It's the 90s squeak. Everybody looks angry.
So then he comes back as an apparition to this guy, to the burn dude. No, see, he's wearing he's wearing it, unless he's wearing a wig to bed.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty obvious that that's not normal hair.
So I don't know why he needs all these dark glasses if his eyes aren't like almost glued together or something.
I think it's more just like in general, like trying to cover up any features. But yeah. This is kind of an interesting thing. I'm not sure how to take what we see there because we're seeing it from his perspective. Because once they get there, we see what he is experiencing from their perspective, and it's very different from what we just saw.
See, now he doesn't have anything on. He doesn't.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying is the like
continuity thing.
What we were seeing before was like his dream perspective, like that's what he is seeing, and now we are seeing what everybody else sees as their reality. So
yeah,
what we saw previously in the previous scene was more kind of like in his mind, in his dream, whatever it is.
And he might put white makeup on the burn guy.
Yeah.
Might put white makeup on to cover up the red. I could see that.
Yeah. But it scared him so much he drank the cyanide.
Yeah. So he was the real killer.
I think this is where he says, I did it because he brought me back and I have to live like this now.
Yeah, basically, like, why would I want anybody else to live like this? Is kind of what he says.
They're like, oh, we got to take him to the doctor, and he's dead.
Yep. They usually have an after scene, don't they? Oh, yeah. This nurse saw, I forget his name in the show, saw him get up and walk out.
Oh, yeah, like he rose again from the dead.
Yeah. Yeah, what is I see Samuel Hartley, I think was the character's name.
Yeah.
And see, what is it? Mulder says something like, "Oh, you know, that happens once or twice every 2,000 years."
Yeah. Because she's like, I saw him go around the corner and he was gone. I went back and looked in the morgue and his body wasn't there.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, I've known him, so she knew what he looked like and stuff.
But, you know, and then we see enough suspicion with that officer that just walks out that we see here. So it kind of plays into some of the ideas that, you know, biblically, some people thought, you know, the body of Christ was stolen and hidden.
Oh,
so
right.
there's enough kind of like ambiguity here. It makes it pretty interesting in my opinion.
My biggest thing with that scene when he was walking across that little bridge was it would be a pain to mow that grass with that ditch
absolutely.
right
there. I thought that too.
I was like, it's pretty well mowed, but how you got? I imagine like when I was a kid, we had a ditch like that, having to push the mower down in there because we didn't have a weed eater.
And the ditch is so uneven too. It's not going to be easy.
Yep. I
Definitely
was
not.
thinking you should put a concrete culvert in there.
Yee.
Because look, it goes all the way around the house. Oh my God, look at that. That's
I
a nice
know.
house, but yeah,
Weeder.
that's too much yard for me anyway.
Yeah. Fun tip for anybody out there who's looking to get a house: don't get a corner lot. There's a lot more grass than you think.
Yeah.
Yes. Unless you like grass, and then it's fine.
Well, if mowing is your thing, then yeah, get a big yard. But
Yeah, my brother got a corner lot, and I've been over there a couple of times to help him out whenever he was working too much to get everything done. And oh boy, it's a lot more than even I thought. Yeah, it's an interesting thing right here at the end, because is he still seeing her because he wants to? Is he seeing her how he last remembered her? Or is he still seeing her because the guy actually did come back from being dead?
I don't know. And there's that one. All righty.
really, Squeaka?
Thoughts on that one? Final thoughts on that one?
I did it so many times when I was a kid. I hate yard work. Unless it's very minimal. If just being outside, like, you know, trimming one hedge or something, but actual yard
I
work
love it.
sucks.
I mean, final thoughts on
Yes.
that one. It is kind of interesting. It does what it needs to do. It was a, for lack of a better term, this is just the kind of the trope that people would say is the monster of the week sort of storyline that was so popular, especially during the early days of X Files. It set up its premise, and it paid it off and left it just open enough that it kind of leaves you with asking questions that you don't necessarily know for a fact exactly what happened. It's not
Well,
bad, but it's definitely not one of the better episodes.
what was
in my
good about it
opinion.
is that it had an actual like human logic A to B, like this guy's a killer, this is how he did it. It's not
Mhm.
supernatural how that happened. The supernatural part was he could actually heal people and
Well, in the
like
in the
do other
supernatural part there,
things.
Right.
Yeah.
eventually as it goes on, still plays into, is it because aliens are experimenting on humans? So it still kind of
Right.
plays into what we see later on in the
hmm
series. But yeah, that's true, because it still does have a grounded reality in the problem that they were trying to figure out. But then the kind of overarching narrative has no answer, really.
Yeah,
Right.
I would agree with that. Yep. Okay. Shapes. This is a good one.
Yeah, this was to me it was a better episode, this episode.
Oh yeah, this one.
Jump scare.
Rawr. I also like the fact. Okay, I take it back. They do actually say, use specific terminology, but you didn't even have to do that to kind of like feed into some of the other things that most people would have been familiar with. Most notably, at least in my mind, being like skinwalkers.
They never say that word once.
They don't. They say
Yeah.
another word. I forget what it is, but it's basically
It's a Indian word.
yeah, it's basically a native. It's kind of like native werewolf, but not based on moon, based on nighttime.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
Or
say
a
lycanthropy. That's
bloodlust.
the other terminology they use, which is I guess a mental condition where people think they can turn into a wolf or something. Um, but so this is in Wyoming. There's these guys are hearing some stuff out. Their cattle is out there all tore apart, and
It
yeah,
could be.
so you
Yeah.
see this.
I was
and
just getting
attacks
a
the
close-up
kid.
face shot. It looks pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, I mean, it looks all right.
Yeah.
They attack this guy, and then the father comes out and shoots it point blank with a shotgun.
Yeah, I don't care who you are or what you are. Point blank with a shotgun, that'll do some damage.
Yep, you done.
And it turns out that it was like a naked dude.
Or was it when he shot him, or did he
See?
revert?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It turns out it's a Native American. And that we'll learn is that these ranchers are in a land dispute with the
Mm,
natives
yeah.
about cattle grazing rights or
Yeah.
something.
And Scully's like immediately, oh, they killed him. They killed him. It's like, come on, Scully, think.
Yeah. As much as I like this show, early Scully she's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
She's definitely a much better character later on in the series, but early they didn't do her justice. And except for some of the exterior shots that we see of this house, I could have sworn this was the same set they used for oh outer land or whatever, outer wild something. It was
Outer
something that
limits.
Roman recommended with Josh
Hmm.
Brolin in it, and there's a character in there that lives in a house that looks almost exactly like this, and I was so distracted the entire time.
Oh yeah, because the house is so cool.
Yeah, it looks almost exactly the same, like the
Yeah.
same house till they go outside. That and once they show the background, you go, "Oh yeah, this is Canada. This is definitely Canada."
Yeah.
Yeah, once you see those pines, that's definitely Canada.
She makes fun of him for saying the creeps. Huh. The creeps?
Yeah,
You
ooh,
never
that
had
gave
the
her the ick.
creeps?
Yeah,
You said the creeps. That gives me the ick. There's the dead cow that's been ripped apart.
Yeah, basically shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the dead cow.
And you can see in the fence where the fence is busted in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. In Texas, at least, messing with somebody's property can get you shot.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
happened. Yeah, they're
yeah.
they're out there defending because cows ain't cheap.
Nope.
It's an investment.
Also, okay, I have to ask: am I the only person who's never held an umbrella that low on their head, like we see Mulder and Scully doing in this scene? I've
Um,
never held an umbrella that low.
I think if you've been holding it up for a while, then you just kind of rest it on your shoulder, and it's one of those smaller collapsible
Or
ones.
if you've got
They don't really
something
have a
else in your
lot of length
hands.
in them anyway. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. Maybe it's just me being weird and just like not, especially these days, not caring if it messes up my hair. I'll just get rained on.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
just resting it on their shoulder because it's probably like the fifth take or something.
This is a nice
Are
little
we
touch
done
here.
yet?
We see the
Yeah.
the footprints switch over.
I was like, this is all you need to know. What do you like? It should have gone the other way, shouldn't it? Or did he?
I guess potentially, but
Unless he's making an
also
instantaneous change, which it didn't look like that was happening. But maybe the more you change, the faster you become at it. Because like later on in the bathroom scene, that guy takes forever to turn into one. Um, whereas this looks like they're just running and did it, you know?
Yeah, like this. It's like it's a pretty much an open and shut case. nothing weird to see here.
And he's
Like,
like, well,
yep,
what about
nothing
these?
at
And then
all.
how about this skin?
Hey, that ain't nothing. Anybody that's been to the beach in the summer has peeled as a kid has
Yeah.
peeled off that much skin.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, well, maybe they skinned him. It's like, no, that's not even apparent on the body.
Yeah. I mean that's a nice little touch because a lot of people know like the legends of skinwalkers and such,
Yeah.
and they
Well,
they don't say that ever in this episode. They kind of leave it up to you to kind of pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
they're
other than
looking
it
for the
being wet,
sheriff.
this looks very much like any place you'd see in the Southwest. Bunch of jumbled
Yeah.
Yeah.
cars and motorhomes and all kinds of stuff on the side. Yeah.
Which is, I understand, there's certain parts of Canada that's basically just the slightly moist Southwest U.S.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And if somebody hates the word
I like
moist,
this.
I do not apologize.
Why they would come in here to look for the sheriff, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like they just bust in and are like, ah, I'm here. And then this guy's, I was at Wounded
I like
Knee
this.
in 73. And
1873. Wow.
well, no, it was, yeah, that's what I thought, but it's 1973. Apparently there was like some demonstrations there and
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff happened. But
I used to be an FBI agent like you until I went to Wounded Knee. But boom, Skyrim reference.
now this guy has like a mucus eye. One of his eyes is all cataract or something. I wonder if that's a contact or the actor really has a cataract eye. Because it kind of doesn't look like a contact to me, but who knows? The other thing is the way they treat. They're like, "Oh, you FBI government types, you never come around when we're helping." It's like, look, I'm just doing my job for one, and two, yeah.
Yeah, it's every show you see that has a Indian reservation, they always act that way.
To your question, Shield, I don't think that I think that was a contact for the episode. Because I'm looking at pictures of Jimmy Herman, who played this episode Ish, also played Stone Calf and Dances with Wolves, and Conquering Bear and Crazy Horse. But yeah, it looks like it looks like that's not a natural thing for him.
Okay.
So this is the dead guy's sister.
Oh yeah.
And if you have watched Twin Peaks, you'll recognize this guy.
Yeah, this is the sheriff. He did a good job.
I know for a fact I've seen Twin Peaks, but I can't tell you anything about it.
He's one of the deputies. I haven't seen it together. I just saw that.
Oh, yeah, in Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I was going to say he's the sheriff in this.
Yeah, Michael Horse was Deputy Tommy Hawk Hill on Twin Peaks. Also, he was Tonto in 1981's A Legend of Lone Ranger.
Yeah, these guys are protecting the spirit in the body.
Mulder, that tie, my guy.
I mean, you think about people in the Appalachia, up in the hills, have a similar, mistrusting of outsiders. So I can see that.
Well, I mean, you get that
especially
with a lot of small towns. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, even with small town law enforcement, it's like somebody rolls in, says, "Hey, we're taking over. We're doing this thing." I would completely expect that somebody would take that as kind of an affront to, "Do you think I can't do my job?"
The reason that the feds are taking this is because it was on a Native American reservation. It's
Oh,
why
yeah,
they have.
true, yeah.
They just can't roll in and be like, oh, we're going to look at this because we think this dude's a werewolf. There was but Mulder kind of got and the animal killed this guy, and then there's cattle mutilations, which anytime there's cattle mutilations, that means aliens or
Yeah.
chupacabras or something.
Right.
So,
Chupa things.
yeah. And he looks at his teeth, and they're like, "Oh, that's totally normal. You can get that from calcium deposits." Like, no, you can't. And I was thinking about this actor. Look at how that's digging into his lip. He really went all in on this thing because that looked like it would puncture his lip.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't tell me, "Oh, yeah, that's totally normal." It's a medical condition. It just happens.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
no. Look at his teeth. These are obviously because they were like, well, what if they like swapped out his dental records? They're like, no, he's got a chipped tooth over here.
Scully, it would be all the teeth, not just the canine teeth.
Right.
Hey, Scully, don't you have like a medical degree?
Yeah.
Come on,
Plus,
Scully.
also, don't you have a thing of human skin you can DNA test?
Yeah.
Or did you, eat it as a snack because it looked like pork rinds?
That's pork rind.
Besides those two plot points, this is a good episode just because of the mystery and the way they do things. But
I
and
mean,
the
it's definitely a
acting's
good
pretty
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I'd have been all right. Open and shut case. This guy's a werewolf.
I mean, early episodes of X-Files, almost all of them have similar kind of like ridiculous, easily to point out plot issues.
Right.
It's just kind of, I mean, they're still trying to find their feet on how they tell the story.
Well, I'm not saying this is a plot hole. I'm just saying if I was Mulder, I'd have been like, okay, Scully, the dude's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm not saying it's a plot hole. It's just like a weird thing that stands out where it's easy to point at it. But they didn't know how to really write around it.
Do you guys get the impression that a lot of times when Mulder takes these cases, he already kind of knows what's going on, but he just has to like get the facts before he can really say anything?
As
Like,
in,
I
he's
guarantee he suspected that this was a werewolf thing or something the minute they got there.
As in, he's already seen several versions, like early X-Files, and he's come to a conclusion, but he still has to get out there and find other things to support it.
But he doesn't say anything. But he already had like the J. Edgar Hoover file. He's already read that. He knows all this stuff. He might go back and look at it, but for the most part, whenever he hears cattle mutilation, he's like, okay, it's going to be one of three things. And then
no, that completely makes sense that he would have
at
least assumptions on everything.
By
that
this
piqued his
point in the
interest.
investigation, he knows this dude is a werewolf.
Yeah,
he has to look at the teeth. He
he would assume that, but he would also technically be wrong because, as we find out in a little bit, that I forget the wording that they use, but as I said earlier, it's
but
he doesn't like what you would see I mean, he may have come to the assumption that it was like a werewolf type creature, kind of like what you see with like European mythology.
Right.
But what we end up finding out is it's something different that doesn't rely on the full moon for transformation.
Right. And he obviously, it's like a Wendigo or something like that. It's a Native American thing because of
Skinwalker and Wendigo. Those are the two things that were in my mind the entire time.
Well, Wendigo is created by somebody doing cannibalism.
Yeah.
They eat other human flesh and then they turn into a Wendigo because of it. But they're
witch doctor.
Yep.
And a skinwalker is not a werewolf.
No.
It's something else.
Yeah, it's basically just
Another
like they can transform into other shapes, animal shapes, sort of thing.
Right.
I'm changing my name.
Let's be right back. I blow my nose again.
Oh, no worries.
No, Squeaka, that means that you had to have eaten human flesh.
But what if she eats mouse flesh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, look, I don't have any of the answers here. Oh,
Says I haven't. Yeah, exactly. What we don't know is Squeaka's so old she is part of the Donner Party.
I mean, after what is it, 188 years, you're gonna have to try everything at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Little fresh monkey meat.
I mean, at some point after. Oh yeah, I've done a lot of
Wait,
my
you've
Wii
done a lot. Was your
188 years.
Wii in 188 years? I don't think we want to know about that.
I mean,
But yeah,
in 188 years, you'll try everything from the best to the worst to the mediocre.
Steamed monkey brains, like
Yeah.
from Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Oh, those were chilled monkey brains.
Oh,
That's
right.
right.
Chilled
Yeah,
monkey
they had a
brains.
little. You take the top of their head off like a lid. Yeah, it just looked like red Jello or something when they ate
It
it.
really did, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're trying to want to do an autopsy, and he's like, "No, can't do that. It's
Right.
against our
Yeah,
beliefs."
within a
Like-
24 hours, they have to burn the body to release the spirit. Otherwise, it'll haunt the world. And it's a religious thing. It's
Right.
it's valid. You know, I don't feel like I didn't get the impression that he's like trying to cover something up. You
Yeah.
never get that.
No.
Like the sheriff is just trying to do everything by the book, but also respect the locals. He even says this here. They're like, he's like, hey, in 1 or 2 days, you guys will leave. I have to stay here and live with these people.
And it's
So,
not even like just respecting the locals, because if this is on a reservation territory, they have their absolute own like police force that operates completely independently from everything else,
right.
because that as their territory.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in reality, there is a lot of potential cover up there in a lot of areas, but yeah, Scully does have some objections here. It's like, are you just gonna not do anything because evidence could be burning? And he goes, "It's what they want to do."
Right. And so now, yeah,
Where are we
busts
here?
out this old
like, here
file
you go.
from 1946 that J. Edgar Hoover started himself. And during World War II, there was like a bunch of people getting mutilated. And then they caught this dude in a cabin and they killed him because they thought he was a mass murderer. And they found evidence that, he was like, had a connection to wild animals or something. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it happened again in 8 years. And then it happened again after that in an 8-year interval, roughly, is where it would happen. And it happened in the 70s and it happened in the 80s. And now it's happening again. So there's a pattern to it.
This actually could dovetail really nicely into a Wolverine origin story. Just through time and everything. But yeah.
And this is when she says, well, there's lycanthropy where people think they're wolves
Mm-hmm.
and like kill people and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where I say, if folks have never seen the Dave Landau comedy bit where he goes into a mental institution and gets roomed up with a guy who thinks he's a werewolf, that's some funny stuff. I don't want to spoil it because I cannot tell it as good as that guy does. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Dave Landau, werewolf. You won't be disappointed. It's funny.
So if I identify as a werewolf, I'm a werewolf. I can grow teeth. Haha.
If you just know that you're a wolf, are you a werewolf?
No, there's a difference.
Or I'm a werewolf.
Unaware. If you don't know you're a werewolf, are you an unaware wolf?
Is Squeaka a weremouse or an unaware mouse?
Obviously, look at her profile picture.
Yeah.
I think whatever
Yeah,
title
that's
we might
Canada.
assign to her is definitely probably less than we expect. But yes, that is definitely. If it isn't Canada, it's very far north U.S.
No, that's definitely Canada. Look
Oh
how
no,
misty
I
it
know
is
for
here.
look, I know based on their filming locations that it's definitely Canada, but it's
Yeah.
way up there. Squeaky said, "I'm very aware."
Plus all the.
Oh, I read that as very rare. Like when I first saw it.
Yeah, anybody who watched sci-fi on like any sci-fi show during the early and mid 90s, even late 90s,
Yep.
they can recognize like southern
mean-
Canada filming locations.
That could be a spot where they put the Stargate right there.
Oh, you don't even have
Oh
to go
yeah,
to that.
absolutely.
The trees on the next scene, like right behind Mulder, those trees. Yeah, they've at least fought Apophis on Stargate twice in that same damn forest.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
for sure.
And I think this is
And
actually
other
probably
and
not
other
far
X-Files
from.
shows.
Yeah, actually, I think this exact location is probably not far from at least one filming location in The Mandalorian. Because
Yeah,
there was
wouldn't be
a
surprised.
Mandalorian location that was definitely very much like Canada location. Whoa! Where did you watch Stargate? Okay,
Are you okay, man? Squeaka.
I have it all
Squeaka.
back here on my shelf. Like you
You're
know,
starting
Canada.
to
Yeah,
see more
I own
Squeaka.
that. I
You're
own that
starting
show
some-
and
yeah.
Atlantis on DVD.
Oh, see, yeah. Hey, another Stargate fan. I know you can't see it on my current camera, but my shelf back here has every SG1 season. Right
I got
there.
Babylon 5 too.
Man, I need to get those. I don't have those, but I've watched them several times.
So in this scene, she says that her part of the grieving process is you have to give away the possessions of the deceased, and she's like gives it to her because he's like, this is all he had, and I'm giving it to you just to like because it's tradition.
Yeah.
And it's like a
Is that
bear claw
protective
and
too?
some bones and stuff.
Scully's like, ew.
Speak of you've had 188 years. Come on.
Yep. I mean, you probably know where the Stargate is buried. I mean,
Uh,
Yeah, but she's
you
got to
gotta
get that
hear-
gem out of the ocean from the end of Titanic first.
yes.
This is this is the werewolf episode. Although technically they never say the word werewolf or even skinwalker, but yes. And welcome, by the way.
Yeah, welcome.
We do X-Files the first Tuesday of every month. Usually just 2 episodes. This month we're doing 3 to wrap up season 1.
And
It's
at
this
the
month and next
beginning-
month, right?
Right. And the
Okay, yeah.
beginning part of the new year, we'll be doing the Star Trek Deep Space Nine, only the Dominion War episodes. So none of the weekly episodes, just the Dominion War. So that would be fun.
Yeah, those will
Looking
be
forward
good.
to getting into that. You know, this I enjoyed this episode a whole lot more than watching Edward James almost run around like naked and wolfing.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Roman, for that.
Yeah, thanks for that mental image. It's not going anywhere anytime
It's
soon.
not. I wish it would go away, but it's not.
So they burn this
So
dude
they
to
start
send
the
his
burning.
spirit to heaven or whatever. And
Mhm.
uh,
Look, I'm sure they took a lot of liberties with some of the lore and the tradition and the history and the native history and things like that, but I'm sure if you dig, you could find things that are not right. But at least for the time, I think they did a pretty good job of not making fun of it.
Yeah.
Like,
And the son here comes to, show his respects. Like, I mean, if it was just the Indian guy running around out there naked, I mean, kind of had it coming.
yeah.
But she's like, no, go away.
so this guy shows up to pay his
Like,
respects,
fine.
which you always see this. Like somebody that shouldn't ever go to the funeral just shows up to cause like a scene and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't ride in and announce himself. He was just sitting on his horse, and she heard the horse like make a horse sound and looked over, and then she goes off on
Shield,
him.
would you like to demonstrate to us what a horse sound is?
No, that's okay. I could.
Yeah, it was worth a shot. The people would have loved it.
Yeah.
Yes. And this guy's just chilling on his porch, minding his own business. When some
Yep.
hairy
That's the
hobo
life
comes
right
up and
there.
attacks him.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you should have said. Shield is. Would you like to demonstrate? Nay.
Yeah, nay.
Nah.
That's the life
Sorry,
right
I'm
there.
a
Though.
little off my comedy game tonight.
That's the life. Smoking a cigar, drinking some whiskey, sitting on your porch, getting angry at the kids who get on like
Now
out on your
that wind
lawn.
chime, those things are so heavy, you'd have to have a hurricane to move those. Those are like horseshoes and stuff.
Yeah.
The wind's not just gonna casually push those around to make a little tinkle sound. Those are, yeah, like branding irons and on stirrups and all kinds of stuff. That thing's got to weigh like 70 pounds just dangling there.
He hears something, but he's like, it's just the wind.
Sorry. This is a family friendly show. I'm trying to not to make jokes. It just came to mind.
Now I thought we were going to do the whole he gets pulled like back, like they always do now.
Oh
After,
yeah,
like
you
The
just see him
Conjuring or
disappear off the
something, where
frame.
they fall down and then they get sucked into the darkness. Yeah,
And I do have
that
to
looks
point
like a
out
guy in
that
a
is
gorilla suit beating him up.
Yeah, it does.
yeah. I have
It
to
looks
point
like
out that's a very watered
This
down whiskey.
shot.
That's probably iced tea, honestly.
It's probably apple juice or something.
It does look apple.
Right
See,
here,
honest-
it looks
okay,
like Goku in ape form.
Oh,
see
he went
that,
Super
and I
Saiyan.
was also thinking, and this may be a little bit obscure for people, the TV show Andromeda with Kevin Sorbo. They had the Magog
yeah.
that were basically just dudes in like fursuits.
Right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one where they had like the Nietzscheans and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
really look. I can't say it's a top tier sci-fi show, but it's very underrated. It's fun.
Didn't it have what's her name in it? She was married to the guy that paid Peter Jackson on.
Lexa Doig. Yes,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then she wound up being on Stargate after a while. As a
yeah.
doctor or
Apparently,
something.
her and Michael Shanks
Yep,
are
they're married.
like super nerds and like super into like all like video games and D&D and everything. So they just like genuinely love the sci-fi scene. Yeah, it does not look like whiskey. It's way too light.
Maybe it was ginger ale.
So you're a Magog beard. What do I look like? I'm jumping around in a like like a fursuit. I don't know what you're talking about.
So
I
now
want to go
they're
down the Andromeda route. I could definitely do that for a while. Sorry, go ahead.
investigating this murder,
Yeah.
and she's like, so they keep around on the property. They do keep like wounded animals, and there's like a mountain lion in a cage for some reason. That
Oh yeah.
their this guy's wife used to collect these animals up. So their assumption is that one of these things escaped and attacked them.
Yeah.
And it's like a, and it's actually like a real mountain lion in a cage that they filmed.
Right. Scully, as soon as she sees the kid, she's like, "Oh, she, oh, it's funny. It's like she has the hots for him or something."
Are you talking about the younger guy, the
Yeah.
son? Yeah.
Yeah.
He must have had some shoulder pads that made her swoon.
Yeah. Must have some kind of pad.
I think this is where she figures out that there's like a mountain lion in a cage. This is where they got other animals in here. Yeah, here it is.
Isn't he
And
cute?
like, yeah.
Just give him a big hug.
Yep. This also made me think about this whole episode is kind of the thing about humans is maybe for like a very large part of our history, we were basically prey animals for things, but then later we're like kind of like a weird in between where we can be a top tier predator, but if you get stuck by yourself, like a bunch of stuff can trample and kill you or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, just nature itself, and it is
Yeah.
as benign as nature is. And that's one of the things I like is that, like, if you're just out in the wild, nature is benign. It's not trying to kill you. It just is what it is. But if you're alone, then suddenly you find yourself
Right.
being on the opposite end of where you used to be.
Yeah.
But like certain
not
animals, like a
using your brain.
buffalo, it'll only eat grass, right? And
Yeah.
certain animals like
If you
like a tiger will only eat meat. But if you're a human or one of the greater, like a chimpanzee or something, you can eat both, and that gives you a lot of flexibility, like evolutionary wise, as to which path you can take. But so now, if you go out and there's a mountain lion, if it surprises you, you're pretty screwed. But if you see it coming and you got a gun, that mountain lion ain't winning. So
yeah,
exactly.
unless it has cubs, then you're probably gonna have to shoot it.
Dude,
Well, that's what I mean.
Look,
Yeah.
I was doing a security patrol one night when I worked security, and I saw 4 baby raccoons. I know they're your mortal enemy, Jacob, in a tree.
Yes.
I thought, oh, I was shining my flashlight. I was like, oh, look, baby raccoons. Where's mama? And I shine it down. I go down the tree, then toward on the parking lot, and get closer and closer to me. And I realize about like 6 feet from me and 10 feet from the tree is mama raccoon. And she just slowly stands up on her back legs and starts like hissing, just
Oh gosh.
I'm like, dude, I'm here. I am I'm not a tall dude, but I'm 5'6". I've got a gun, and I'm still just like, screw that. Nope, I'm not dealing with this. And I just took off the other direction. It's like, nope.
Yeah. Animals
Nature is rough when it wants to be. I don't want to deal with that.
It is, and you got to kind of know what you're doing. One time when I was at
Yeah.
work, there was a rattlesnake that was outside our hangar, and this guy goes over and he wants to hit it with this, like, get it away with a stick, but it wasn't a very long one.
Don't do
And this
that,
other guy
son.
comes out and he's got a dip in his mouth, and he's like, "Hey, man, you know those things can strike twice the distance of their body, right?" This guy was like, had this little stick he was trying to poke it with.
Yeah.
That thing almost bit him. And if
Yeah,
that guy
when
wouldn't have been there, he would have been screwed.
When it comes to dealing with wildlife, be it a raccoon or a mountain lion, whatever you think you know, you don't.
Yeah.
So don't.
But the thing that made it so funny is this guy's casually, he's got his like spit cup and he's got that southern accent. He's like, "Hey, man, You know them things can
Hey,
strike
maybe
twice
he
to
just
the
reaches
body.
over and goes. He just goes. Hey, you know those things can strike
Exactly,
twice their
just like
body
that.
difference, right?
Like nonchalantly, like, hey, stop. Don't, he didn't say stop. He didn't say get away from it or
Is that,
anything. And this
hey,
other guy is
hey,
like,
you
I'm just
want to
gonna,
do that? You'll go right ahead, but
yeah,
So I just want to tell y'all.
yeah.
I'm not
But it
driving
was
you to the
it was like
hospital.
it was like rattling its tail and everything. So it's like, yeah, leave it alone, dude. Hey, that was in Arizona.
Yeah, we've I live with my parents, and my mom went outside, and like there's this big, probably 5 foot long rattlesnake sitting on the sidewalk. It's like, yeah,
Other than that, the only time I've seen rattlesnakes is when they've been run over on the road.
So yeah, I'm just
yeah,
gonna throw this out there in case anybody wonders. When it comes to snakes, there's a lot of wildlife out there where I might point to this. I'm not going to say it because YouTube. I don't want to call extra attention to it, but I might point to that sort of thing as a solution.
antennas.
Snakes, that's not it, because they function very well with a couple of holes put in them. You want a blade,
Yes, they do.
or you
They
just
do.
want to leave.
Get
But
a
anyway,
shovel,
that's
long shovel.
yeah, that's the or
Take its head off.
one of these.
Don't worry. If you cut
Yeah.
the snake's head off, 2 won't grow back. It's okay.
But it still
So
might
yeah,
bite you.
Mulder's
Don't
like,
toy with it.
yeah, don't mess with it. Call animal control. So Mulder's like, you think this is something else? What do you think it is? And he's like, I thought it was going to be over with when we burned John
Right.
Goodensnake. He's like,
And
do you know anybody
yeah.
who can help us here? He's like, yep, I know somebody.
Yeah, he's like, what is this? He's like, I can't tell you what it is, but I know somebody who can. And then this, where they do the blood test, they were like, it had that guy's blood in his
His dad's
oh, they find
DNA.
out later. But they're doing the blood test, which is going to come important later. The fact they showed that nurse with it.
Right.
Then she tells him that his dad died, and this guy's like, okay. He doesn't really react to it. Because they found him like naked in the yard. And he said after the funeral, I went and got drunk and I passed out, and I woke up naked in a yard. Ha ha ha. That's happened to everybody, right?
I mean, with
Yeah.
enough drinks, who hasn't woken up naked in any yard? Oh, just me.
I haven't,
Okay, never
but
mind.
I have.
yeah, I've had some. I was taking some antibiotics, and then I went out with some friends, and it's the only time. Now I've drank enough to black out, right? But I knew that was happening. And so when I didn't remember later what happened, it wasn't a shocker, right? But one time I was taking antibiotics, and I only had a couple of drinks, and I do not remember how I got home. It's like completely, it's not like if you black out, this was just like time was erased. So
Yeah.
they went back and they photoshopped a bunch of pictures that we took that night and put all kinds of crazy stuff in it because I totally couldn't remember. And this was like early 90s, so Photoshop was like just new. So
Yeah.
oh,
bit more
it was a
Squeaker
washing
Mouse lore is
machine. We
dropped.
know that, right, Squeaka?
Yeah, it was a washing machine.
Yeah,
It was in but on.
yeah. There's a top loader.
She's like, I'm used to if things dying. I live out in the country on a ranch.
Right, he's
It's
seen
your
the
dad, dude.
cycle, because she's like, you're not upset, and he's like, I've seen the cycle of life. Things born, things die. Oh, and also
Yeah.
I probably killed my father, but
Yeah.
Oh, by the way.
yeah. But he doesn't remember stuff. He says, I remember like going to the porch and seeing my dad, but that was it. And then so they go see this guy, and they start talking about when he was a kid in the 40s. So you got to remember, this is like 93 or 94. So World War II wasn't as old as it is to us now. So a lot of
Yeah.
people that were in World War II or lived back then were relatively young still. You know, they had another 15, 20, 25 years left to live. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this guy being 16 in 1940s, he isn't like 90 now is what he would have been back then. So you just got to keep that in mind when you're see people, you know, most of the old people you see in in this show are dead now.
It is weird to watch this show knowing that when it was filmed, we are as far removed as they were at the time from World War II.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, because they're
Right.
like early 90s. They're,
So 95 from World War II would have been 50 years.
yeah. I mean, we're not that far away from that time from where we are right now. It's kind of, damn it, it's weird. I still don't think of myself as old as I am. I don't know if anybody else has that issue, but like I just don't
Well,
think of myself like
here's
that
the
old.
real
But
thing is that we're farther away from uh so Back to the Future, it was 30 years from 55 to 85. We're already past that.
yeah,
Back to the Future for us
Right.
was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, then he goes forward and it's 2015. Yeah,
Right.
that
Yeah.
was 10 years ago. So he tells the story of what he saw, looked in the window, and his hand fell off, and claws came out of his hands.
He had gone fishing. So he said if he would have had a gun, he would have tried to shoot him. But he'd gone fishing
Yeah.
instead. He took a shortcut past the guy's house, saw that he turned into this thing, and then he ran. And he talks about how that guy died, but then he thought that was the end of it. But then 8 years later, it came back. And he said that if sometimes it'll disappear, and the reason it'll come back is it'll be in the bloodline of the people.
mm,
And that's when he talks about this evil spirit that lurked in the forest in the ancient times. And I can't remember what it was called. Started with an N.
I was gonna make a note of that and I
Right.
didn't, and I annoyed of myself.
He's like, so you can pass it down through bloodlines, and you can become one if you get bit by one.
Right. If you get bit or scratched. And so that's what happened is both the native guy that attacked them the first time and they got shot in their yard, and that guy and they by the barn, he had scratches on him, but they'd already healed. And then the son got scratched as well, and they healed. So it's not instantaneous transformation or anything. It takes time for it to like infect you.
Yeah.
I like our new viewer here watching us and watching X-Files at the same time.
Yeah. Nice.
Hell yeah.
All nerds are welcome here. Because we are nerds too.
Okay, so the word they use is the legend of the Manitou,
Yeah, Manitou. That's it. Started with it.
a
So-
shapeshifter that can pass to a new host through a bite or upon the death of the original host. So it's kind of like it's a
It's like it's
not just
possession
like-
almost, right?
yeah, almost a possession. Yeah.
Okay. So if you scratch somebody,
hear
but
something
you're
outside.
you're still alive, then they won't turn into one until you die.
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they hear something outside and they go out there, and it's the sister trying to steal the truck. And she's like, I saw something. She was gonna mess the kid up.
Now at this
and then
point
she saw a
in
creature
the
attack
show,
the
I thought
dad.
I wasn't sure how it was passed. I thought it was like they do like a ceremony and become one as like a way to get vengeance on people or something. And so I thought she was the werewolf.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what they
that
thought
no,
too.
yeah, that's what that, and that's good storytelling because I think that's what was intended.
Right. But
Because we already had kind of suspicions on the other guy And so they now draw our suspicions to her, which leaves the audience kind of in a state of, not knowing exactly what's going on.
Right. But well, I thought that
Jeez.
initially, like at
Oh,
the funeral
God.
when they were burning the body, but then once dude woke up naked in the yard, I was like, oh, it's totally him.
Yeah.
So, but for a time, I did
Yeah.
think that it was her. Then I
Yeah,
thought,
so Mulder
what if they're
calls the
having a
hospital.
secret love affair, and that's why the brother attacked the, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
for a split second. But
So Mulder calls the hospital looking for Scully, and they're like, they left already. And he
and they're
says,
like, oh
but there's
yeah, by the
something
way,
strange.
yeah, he had his father's blood in his stomach. So I don't know how you
Ugh.
get that from a blood test, but
Yeah, me neither. Unless he threw up or something.
yeah. So he's like, all right, later, I'm out. And then he's trying to call Scully, and there's no cell phone reception. And she's taking this guy back to his house, and he's like, oh, the power's out. It happens sometimes. And he's like, oh, my tummy, I got to go to the bathroom. He's really having like a bad reaction to something. He goes in there and he starts turning into a werewolf, and they're trying to call. And then Scully being Scully, she loses her gun. And yeah, this guy did a pretty good job of like making a cracking sound and turning into a.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
full like was it the I can't remember what movie has that famous werewolf transition, but
As a howling, I
it's
think.
it was still really
Yeah.
good.
The American Werewolf in London.
That's
Maybe
it.
that was
Yeah,
it.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, considering their budget, especially this being a first season before they really got a lot of budget,
Right.
this is still really good. Especially that skin
look at that.
split. Oh,
Yeah. Ugh. Scully's like, how
Yeah,
do I
she's
get
like
in here?
trying to take the doorknob apart to get in there, and then he busts through the door, and that's when she loses her gun and her flashlight. A lot of people find like taxidermy like that kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good for like nice hotel lobbies and stuff.
And Bass Pro.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I understand some people don't like it as like a trophy thing, but I mean, if I'm gonna hunt and try to use as much of the animal as possible, then I think it might be, and this might be weird to some people, kind of a respect thing to the animal to like, kind of still have them present. That makes sense.
If they're well done. Also, this was
Yeah.
when he shot the face out of the bear, I was like, oh, that sucks. That
Yeah.
bear really did die for nothing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, you're in a house with a supposed werewolf, and you got all this taxidermy stuff around in the
Yeah.
dark,
You see teeth, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna shoot it.
Yep.
I got separated and I lost my gun. Scully.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Obi-Wan. Your weapon is your life. Scully always losing her lightsaber.
So it says they had to make Mulder the hero early on in the show. Later in the show, it kind of gets reversed with Scully saving Mulder's arse more.
Oh, nowadays Mulder would be a complete dummy, and Scully be leading him around everywhere he went, telling him what to do and stuff.
I mean, yes, true. I mean, this statement is pretty accurate because I think as the show went on, Scully definitely got more character development than Mulder did.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. They got him. Scully's like, he was in the bathroom and we got attacked by the mountain lion. It's like,
Yeah, the mountain lion that's still in the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like,
Things
nah, that
Scully.
thing's still in the cage out there.
Yeah, so the sister gave all her possessions away and disappeared. It's like, oh, she's the next werewolf.
Yeah. I mean, what did they say at one point here towards the end? Like, see you in like 8 years or something?
Yeah, see you in 8 years.
Yeah. The old fella.
Yeah.
Like, see you in 8 years, FBI.
So I looked it up. Manitow. I mean, they definitely took some license with this. While you're pulling up the next episode, Jacob, I'll describe a few things here. Um,
Already.
was derived from the word and the theologies of the Algonquin people. But in general, it was used kind of just meaning. Let's see, included the word Manitoic, meaning gods and goddesses. So it was kind of like this general sort of like life force term that had a lot of different varieties based on their specific subcultures that it was like related to. But at least from what I'm seeing, it Manitow did not specifically mean kind of what we see in this episode. It was more just kind of like a general spirit, omnipresent, manifests everywhere, in organisms, the environment, events. So it was kind of just like the overarching spirit of things, at least from what I'm seeing right now, at least according to the Algonquin traditions,
Mm.
which may involve some sort of potential shape shifting things. I don't know. I'm just kind of scanning over things here. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if they took kind of an idea of something and ran with it. Um, I mean, they may have just pulled the term Manitow because if you use something like Skinwalker, even in the 90s, a lot of people would have had an idea what Skinwalker is. So,
Yeah, I think back then that was not a well-known term.
yeah. I mean, I don't fault him for that. I don't think it was kind of done any kind of maliciously or anything of like that nature. It does using a excuse me, a lesser known native word allows you to keep that kind of mystique there longer instead of saying something that even maybe a small group of people might be able to latch on to. So I just wanted to pull that out because I thought that was an interesting little tidbit there, that it's not necessarily what we see in the episode, but just kind of the overarching spirit of nature sort of word. Let's see. I don't think Algonquin speaking peoples are in Vancouver. That's right. Oh, that's
Well,
mid Canada
so
down through Ohio, parts of New York, Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's true. That would have been accurate to where the story says it should have been happening, not to their
yeah, the
filming
story's
location.
supposed to
Yeah.
take place in Wyoming. Or no,
Yeah.
Montana. I'm sorry, Montana.
Which there's some
Yeah,
places
because
like
they
that in
did.
Montana.
Yeah, they definitely did filming in
Oh, they totally
a
filmed
lot
this
of
in
Canada. Yeah.
British Columbia, but it's
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
take place in Montana.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
correct, Jacob. There are plenty of places that look like this in Montana. Like basically the whole Northwest and Rockies all look like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are parts of, well, not big trees like this, but where it's like pines and stuff. You can find that in New Mexico and Arizona,
Yeah.
all over the place. It's got to go to the right
So these
spots.
guys are.
So yeah, there's a new episode. These guys are
arguing.
Arguing. I wasn't sure what they're like. I knew they were like a work crew or something, but I wasn't sure what they're doing.
Loggers.
They're loggers, and something is, if it's nighttime, it's going to come get them, and they're trying to get out, but
See,
they can't make it an entire day to get to safety, apparently, to like get out of the mountains.
I
So
I
Yeah,
I
they're
want
way
to
out there.
like this episode, but it reminds me so much of the Doctor Who episode Silence in the Library, where there are these like creatures that live in the shadows and the darkness that'll like devour you, and that episode is so much better than this. I can't, I don't
Where
hate this episode, but I've seen a better version of it, so I kind of just
so
like eh.
this
is that
episode,
a
it
newer
felt like
Doctor Who?
this
Speaking on,
episode, right? They wrote it specifically because they wanted it to happen in a cheap location to shoot. Right. So they make this
welcome,
story
Stella.
and it's
Glad
pretty
to
simple to
have you drop.
pretty
Thanks for
simple to
dropping
shoot.
by.
Pretty simple set.
You're in
Yeah,
They don't
good
have to
it
company
is.
really
here.
go very far.
Yeah, it's definitely a simple
So it like
set.
save some money. I mean, it's not quite
Yeah.
a elevator
Yeah.
episode, but that's if a show really wants to save money, they try to make a story where it all happens in a stuck elevator. And it's
Yeah, I
just
mean
character driven.
this is as close to like a bottle episode as you can get while still being outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
There
yeah,
goes the
howdy Cinema Cult, welcome, and Cannoli, howdy.
It's like it's dark. We're done.
Yeah, this is definitely not the one of the stronger episodes of this season. It's not bad. I can't hate on it. It's just not great. But yeah, they stumble onto something that kind of got woke up because it was trapped in. I think they just go. I'm just going to go ahead and jump ahead in the plot. Basically, it's like bugs that were trapped
Yeah,
in
go ahead.
the rings of an old tree that's like hundreds of years old. So it's not necessarily an evolution of something that was. It is something that was, and
It's like a rare
nobody.
species of mites that are luminescent,
Yeah,
so they glow like fireflies, but they're real tiny, but they
yeah,
swarm you, and then they'll cocoon you, bite, and then knock you out somehow, and then
And
drain all your
yeah.
fluids. Um,
yeah. I like having fluids.
So
Don't
all
drain
these
those.
dudes disappeared, and they're thinking it was some eco terrorist that did something.
Yeah,
right, but there was a work crew in the 30s. Now, what was it called? The WPA, and it was like a government
Yeah.
work program that because there was so much unemployment during the Great Depression that the government was basically making these venues for to put people to work and give them jobs. And it actually was a good program because it built so many, like if you go to a public park or like a national park, almost all
Yeah.
of the roads to get into the place were all built during this time. They built
And the
massive
cabins. They
cabins,
built cabins,
roadworks.
buildings.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if you've been to a national park, you've seen
Yeah,
some of the buildings
drainage
they built.
programs, all that kind of stuff was paid for and done through this. Also, the Hoover Dam was built by them. But anyway, so it was a big project that they
Shield.
had.
This is a family channel. It's the Hoover Dang.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a lame joke. I don't care. Y'all can groan. I'm fine with it.
But anyway, so this is back in the 30s before there was environmentalists, and they all disappeared. So they're like, it's not the environmental terrorist guys. But so now they're going up to the logging camp. Now I thought that like this dude was kind of all business, this park ranger dude.
Yeah.
And for a second, I thought that that Scully would be like all into him and stuff. But
It's a park ranger.
yeah. But he basically ignores her. So he's got that Sigma grind set going. For real, he basically ignores her the entire episode.
Yeah. like, oh, she's cute. I'm gonna ignore her the entire time.
I mean, this is definitely one of the episodes you can tell that they basically just had to shoot because, or not because, despite the weather, because it's just
Yeah.
foggy and drizzly and rainy the entire time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they
This is
you can
not.
tell they're miserable.
Yeah. This is not water sprayers overhead to make it look like this. It's just
Oh
natural
no,
conditions.
no.
Um, this kind of blue pickup truck, it almost looks like they bought it secondhand from the Air Force because we had trucks just like this driving all over the place out there. You did all that on the flight line. Whenever you could just sign a pickup out like this to go do big work and stuff, put a bunch of people in it and drive it to the next base to do something or whatever.
See, you're thinking that, and I'm just assuming they borrowed it from like Bubba down the road at the corner store.
Just because who buys vehicles in this color blue? Nobody.
I would. I would.
I mean,
It's
I
a
would too,
nice
Jacob.
color.
I don't know about back then when the show was filming, but I know I'm a blue guy.
Yeah, we just had so many of them. It just looks like it to me. That's what they
I have a
exact
blue
color. And
suit on.
everything. Maybe a little lighter blue if
Come
it's been out in the sun for 15 years.
Dang it,
The
Mulder!
paint's
You
all
got rid of
gray.
Mulder. You got rid of the tie, but you went with the turtleneck. That's not a
Oh,
good.
It's because it's
Mm.
long john underwear underneath that. Is what he's
Oh,
wearing.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's got the turtleneck long johns. Yeah. So they're like, "Hey, what's this with your windshield? Is that a bullet hole?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's a 22. Somebody shot my, not while he was in it. They just shot the thing just to kind of like mess with him." And then this guy, the older guy, is the head of security for the logging company. And he's like, "Yeah, these eco-terrorist guys are always causing problems. They're putting spikes in trees. So when you use your chainsaw, it'll hit the spike. There's also, they sabotage and vandalize equipment. And while they're driving, they hit some homemade road spikes, and there's caltrops, which are basically
Yeah.
just a metal weld bent and welded together that you throw on the road. And no matter which way you throw them, they'll always land with the prongs up.
I really appreciate the fact that you use the word caltrops because that's what I was thinking, and
Yes.
nobody knows what that word is.
Well, that's what they called them in the
I
show,
was
right?
wondering. Yeah, I was wondering if y'all knew what a caltrop was. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
they've
know
used
what a
these back
caltrop
in like
is
the
for. Yeah, the Romans used them.
the Romans used them. So
Yeah, to deny space on a battlefield, to funnel people into like gate
And
openings and stuff.
it was mainly against horses. So
Yeah.
enemy horses would come and stomp all over.
Yeah.
Poor horses.
I mean, plus, at the time, sandal soles weren't exactly as durable as what we have right now.
Right.
So
They made them in different sizes, but they would scatter them around and the way they're made is that there are two pieces of metal bent together, so no matter which way you throw it, the sharp point is always sticking up.
yeah,
And it's got a nice base, so it doesn't flatten when you step on it.
yeah.
So it'll go right through your foot.
It's hard metal that usually has like 2 to 3 points facing up, regardless how it
Yeah.
lands.
Right.
You can make them really
Right.
small too, like pocket size. Like you
Yeah.
can just take a handful and toss them out.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'm trying to remember
Actually,
the movie that I saw. It was like a ninja movie. And the dude was picking a lock, and some guy was like, guard was like, "Hey," and he runs over to stop him. And so he throws out a thing of caltrops, and then he throws a bunch of ball bearings, and the guy slips on him and falls on his face, and all the caltrops go in his head
oh geez.
while he
until that
continues
last
to
part-
pick the lock. Yeah.
Until that
Yeah.
last part, I was thinking, oh, that could be anything in the 80s.
Yeah, that was a great. It was
crazy.
like a Canon '80s movie in the '80s from like the Canon movie company. It always made all like the ninjas and stuff, pray for death and all that kind of.
Now I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to find out, but
American Ninja.
Yeah.
it's definitely not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or like Three Ninjas or anything. That's definitely more violent than a kids movie.
Hey, if you're talking about the Ninja Turtle comics, they are really
Oh.
violent.
They're very violent. Yeah. See,
So they get to where they loggers were staying, and it's just nobody's there. Everybody's gone. Food still on the table. Nobody there. And they're looking at, fuel tanks and stuff, and they've put sugar and stuff in the fuel and messed up all the
Rice in the
trucks.
radiator. Yeah.
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 I've never heard of that before. I guess it really gums it up.
I guess. So they find this thing up in the tree. Like, what is that?
Now, let's just hoist you up there
Let's hoist
and
Scully
cut
up
it
there. She's
open
the
right in
lightest.
front of your
Well,
face.
Here's my thing. They're looking for these people, and then they're like, oh, look, it's cocoon. Let's waste time screwing around with it.
Yeah.
Like, who cares what it is? Just keep looking for people.
Yeah. And she doesn't even get all the way cutting into it. She's like, oh, there are fingers there.
Yeah, if I was it's like faced with that, I'd be like, get me down from here.
Nope.
Then
I'm
somehow they
done.
get it down. But here's the real question. How do these bugs get them way up there?
Yeah.
I don't care how many mites you have flying around or whatever. Like, how did they do it? They never explain it.
No, huh?
Like, and
I
now
can
it'd be different
understand
if they
finding
showed
it on the
like
ground or
when the
something.
swarmer person are like lifting it up in the air or something somehow. But basically, he's like a mummy in there.
I guess
Yeah.
it's not a good explanation because it doesn't make sense to where he was found. But if he was climbing around on whatever they had like structurally available for logging, and then they cocooned it, that's okay. I can't.
I mean, I guess it
No.
doesn't kind of really matter, but they ask the
Yeah.
question. They ask, how did it get up there? And they never answer it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, because I thought that was going to be addressed, but I guess they were just like, we ran out of money or something.
Also, poor Gillian Anderson. It is clearly, very clearly raining right now.
Oh yeah, she looks like total crap in this whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's
she
awesome.
looks like she's not having a good time.
Which means is she looks like a real person.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
true. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks sort of like a real person. It isn't like somebody that constantly every scene they've got perfect hair and makeup. You know what I mean? She looks like
I
she's
don't
somebody really out in the woods.
personally, I don't care getting rained on, mostly because it doesn't mess up my hair. But yeah, I would have to imagine shooting a show, especially having doing like take after take, if things just don't go right in the rain for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, just has to be miserable.
So the generator was sabotaged. The radio was broken. All this stuff happened.
Yeah, like little bits of everything have been broken because we find out a little bit later they can kind of like cobble together enough to get one vehicle working. But as it is right now, there's everything has something
but it's
broken.
none of the vehicles that are here. It's
Oh, that's right.
the people that actually sabotaged it are camping 2 valleys over, and
I
their
forgot that.
battery
Yeah.
in their Jeep went dead, and it's this guy. Now, I don't. This guy looks kind of weirdly familiar. Like he went on to do some other stuff, like later
Okay,
on.
so I think that is. I've been looking at the cast here. That might be Titus Welliver. If the character is Doug Spinney.
That's him. That's Doug Spinney.
Okay, so Titus Welliver, he was some people might know him as at the end of the series of Lost. He was like the bad guy persona. I've seen him in a couple other things. Like he was the opposite of the Jacob character in Lost. He was in Transformers Age of Extinction, The Town, Argo, Man on a Ledge. He's got one of those faces and just one of those guys that pops up everywhere, but you just
Yeah,
don't
he
really
was in the
know him.
series Bosch.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
If
He
you've
was
seen that.
Harry Bosch in Bosch. Yeah.
So he's like older and
Sorry, I
got
was
gray hair and
saying it, but I
stuff
was
or
muted.
whatever. What's
Yeah,
this guy's name? The
no
actor?
mustache.
The actor is Titus Welliver.
Titus Welliver. There he is. All right, let's see.
I'm actually pretty sure he's been in a lot of
Oh yeah,
know,
yeah.
one-offs
That's
of
why he
like
looked familiar.
yeah. He's just
Yeah.
a lot younger here.
Wow, he looked like he got
Yeah.
a bunch of testosterone injections or something.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
funny. Seeing him young here like this in the Bosch series, the actor's son plays the younger version of him, and it looks
Oh,
just
really?
like this.
Yeah, I thought he did good in this. He was a decent enough, he did a good performance, and
Yeah.
I have to check something here while we're looking this guy up.
So yeah, he hadn't eaten in days. And he doesn't know what happened here.
And so while this is all going on, Mulder's noticing that there's like this smudgy, greasy stuff all over everything. Like you see him touching it and like rubbing it in his fingers, trying to figure out what it is. Meanwhile, this guy, he's a criminal. They sabotage all this stuff. He's out here with this sob story. We just need to, arrest him and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, he looks like he's been in like a couple of things, mainly like TV shows and
does.
stuff. I don't think he's like a big movie guy.
Yeah, I'll take a look, see if I can find anything on him.
I've seen him in other stuff, 100% for sure. That older guy too, the logging company security guy.
Yeah. It's like, there's nothing out here.
He's like, there's nothing out here. There's nothing to worry. I was hoping that like a giant like predator mantis thing would rip his head off. But yeah, they don't have the budget for that.
Like one of the giant bugs from Starship Troopers.
Yeah, Starship Troopers. Yeah, jumps out.
So if I have the right guy for younger forest ranger, I think might be Jason. Okay, I can't. His last name Beghe. Beg. But he's in a lot of things. Like 200 episodes of Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's
PD.
him. I just looked him up.
Like,
he was born March 12th,
24 episodes of Chicago Fire. He's in all sorts of, one-off episodes going.
He was
way
in G.I.
back
Jane.
when.
He was in
Yeah.
Thelma and Louise, Monkey Shines.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those faces you recognize. You just don't know where because it's somebody who's been in like everything. Sorry.
Loggers can only cut a certain amount of year-old trees. They have to be, under a certain amount of age. And they've been cutting down old trees that are marked to not cut down. And Mulder is looking at it and finds that same residue in the rings. So that ring was around the same time as the older logging group was disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how old the tree is.
I mean, because you can use the rings in there to tell certain, either biological or geological events. But in this instance, it seems like whatever was around there, whatever insects, whatever bugs there were, kind of got trapped in there. Which is kind of a nice little tweak on what you might see with like, some locusts that will hibernate for X number of years and then just all appear at the same time.
Man, this guy has been in tons and tons and tons of shows. couple episodes here and there, recurring roles.
Yeah.
He's he's very prolific in like network TV. He's been in movies as well.
Yeah.
So he's a pretty accomplished guy. Yeah, he's like 33 or 34 in this when he did this episode.
That makes me kind of want to look at some of the other actors in this because, I mean, especially during the 90s, the Canadian
Oh, he's an
sci-fi
American
acting.
actor. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, the Canadian sci-fi like production area was really prolific, and you had a lot of people go through that.
Yeah. There they are, moving. Ooh. So that's what they look like when they're, they like go dormant in the sunlight.
Yeah, they don't like light; they like darkness.
Hence the name of the episode, Darkness Falls.
What? You mean back in the day they made episode names that actually portrayed to the that I'm sorry. My cynicism is coming through. I apologize. I mean, just in general, I again, I like the concept of this episode. I can't say it's one of the stronger ones that we've watched.
Just this guy goes for the truck and there's no keys. Oh, that's great.
So he tries to hotwire it.
You know, as far as when they say like, how do they get somebody's, elsewhere? How they, get a body up to a certain point? I guess technically, with enough small creatures that could, exert a certain amount of force, you could technically relocate an entire human body.
They would have to be like trillions of them or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
if they
yeah, I
made
mean,
like a
yeah,
giant like ant bridge, like ants do
yeah.
somehow. But
Or they form together like the replicators in Stargate,
yeah,
giant.
turn into a different thing. So then this guy, so he gets it started, and then the wheels are spinning, and he finally gets that going, and he hits a rock, and he can't get out. It's like, go out the other side, dude. I mean, I get he's panicking, but I don't know. Like, do they sting you and knock you out, or what's going on?
Yeah, something like
Or
that.
they
Yeah, they
bite you
just
to
don't
death,
really
or
give you a whole lot here. They leave
right?
pretty much everything to your imagination.
So she's
And
looking at
then
the tree
Mulder,
rings, and this is where he's finding this residue all over everything.
yeah,
He's like, "What is this?"
Well, Mulder walking around like Mary Poppins, checking the debris, like the dust on
yeah,
top of the
Mary
mantle.
Poppins.
It
Sorry
really
if
is
I'm
weird to see
scrubbing
that
through this
guy
fast.
being young and having that mustache because
Yeah,
it's
chevron.
so weird.
It's got that uh, Tom Selleck chevron going on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like, come on. Yeah, I forget how they find out what that residue is. But Scully freaks out.
Right, so that they're all over. Right, this is later when they come through the wall. And they're like, oh, they're on me. And he's like, they're on all of us, because that's what that residue is.
So he's like, he gets up early and gets one of the batteries, and he's going to take it back to the Jeep and come back. And Mulder's like holding the gun on him.
And he takes all the
But Mulder
gas, the
believes
remaining gas.
Yeah, he's basically
Right.
like, I took everything because that's what I need. Just trust me, guy with a gun on me.
Why don't they just all
I mean,
go?
yeah, at that point, what? Yeah. I mean, okay, let's just say there's like 4 seats, 8 people. You can make it work.
Yeah.
My brother has fit back in the day. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. He fit about 10 people in his 4-seat Honda Prelude. You can make it work. I mean, so there are plenty of issues with this episode, but I don't, like I said before, I don't hate it. It's just not a strong episode.
Yeah. But it's good. It's one of my top 5 of the season, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, you've definitely watched the early series a lot more than I have, because I'm kind of going through a lot of the first seasons for the first time doing this show.
Why can't they start a fire? Big bonfire.
Yeah, right.
Probably too
I don't know
wet.
if it's like natural light doesn't scare them away. They kept showing the bug zapper out front at first, and I thought maybe it was like ultraviolet light that was keeping them away. But apparently it's just, I mean, obviously daylight has ultraviolet light in it.
It's like, this is our
He's like, be
last
careful with
light
that. That's our
bulb.
only light bulb, but the only bulb that works in the whole building. It's like, why is she even screwing with it?
Yeah.
But because you screw in a light bulb.
How many FBI agents does it take to screw in a light bulb? Apparently one.
One while everyone else watches.
Yeah. In their Ray-Bans.
I mean,
then she can see it in the corner. She's like, oh, they're getting in through this crack. I mean, they're super tiny, so it's not, unless you're in a hermetically sealed container, there's no way you're keeping them out.
Yeah.
And then Scully goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Then she runs past and she's like, oh, they're on me. Get them off. And then she almost busts the only light they have. And this dude's like, bro, what are you doing?
Shield.
Yeah, bro. That's the word. That's the B word he said. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, they're already all over all of us. That's what the residue is. All over the place. And then they show him like little glow in the dark. And this is the fuel running out. Because they said they let the other guy take the fuel. So the one park ranger dude was like, at the rate we're burning fuel, it'll burn out by 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That's why he turned it off when they were trying to make the radio call. They fixed the radio.
I mean, they do a fairly good job of leaning into the, I'll say, the light horror aspect of this story, especially here at the end.
Yeah, so I forget. So it goes out in the night, right? And then I think the dude shows up in the Jeep.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he does. He pulls up right as the sun's coming up. So they make it so because the light goes out and they're like, oh, there's sunlight outside. And so they
Oh,
run
so
out and
Gandalf shows up.
they're gonna make a run for it to try to get out of there. Oh, I know what it is. He's like, hey, if we pull the tire off of this, we can take it down to the other truck, put it on the truck, and then get out. And he's like, let's do it. So they start rolling this thing like a wheel of cheese down the hill to try to get it there.
It's like,
And they
oh,
get there and they're like, oh, crap, this dude's already a cocoon.
Surprise.
Yeah. And he's like all like dead and looking towards the. And the Jeep guy pulls up and he's like, let's get out of here.
And I like old Jeeps.
yeah, me too.
I can't remember what happened, like why they had to stop.
I think he runs into his own traps he put out.
Oh, that's right. They hit the couch
Yeah.
they had put out. And
Yeah, and then they end up all getting cocooned, but not deadified.
right.
Right.
Yeah, so the bugs get in and start like eating them or whatever.
That there's enough darkness that they can cocoon them, but not actually drain them of life.
Yeah, here comes
Right.
TC with the helicopter. Actually,
Also,
if it
did
is
anybody
TC, they
else
would have
get-
done a J turn.
Was anybody else annoyed by the fact that it was a GMC van, a Chevy van, and a GMC van, knowing that if it was government,
Yeah.
it would all be the same? Like, it would all
Unmarked,
be GMC
probably.
or Chevy. It wouldn't be
Oh,
both.
Yeah, I wonder if the logo would even be on the vehicle.
no, they leave it on there
I don't know.
if it's government.
They would? Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
leave it on there. They don't go through the trouble of moving that stuff.
Yeah, they don't care. It's like, we got our
So they
money.
did,
We don't care
so
who sees
they
what.
did get through on the radio,
Right.
and they
So they
get
go to
him
this
just in time.
facility. Yeah. This set this looks like they put the most money into the set. This right here.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So they're alive and their faces are all like, I don't know if they're like chewed up or what, but they got like a rash all over them.
Yeah, and they burned all that area, I think. Isn't that what he says?
I know that would be like, oh, we're taking care of it right now. If they would have just shown like a nuke going off, that would like a fuel air bomb or whatever, like a C-130 or
Yeah.
some airplane just flying over, just dropping it out and just that'd have been cool.
The one that sucks in all the air and then
Yeah,
blows
it's
up or something.
yeah, it's a fuel air bomb where it creates the fuel burst first and then it ignites and yeah, then it causes a
That's crazy. That is really
thermobaric
crazy.
device. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what if it doesn't work? And he's like, that's not an option. That's when I was like, they should have just cut to like a
Not an
nuke going
option.
off. Yeah.
Tactical nuke.
And that's
And
a
there
wrap.
it is. That's a wrap, people.
Yeah. I don't know if like
We
next
did pretty-
episode
we
they're
did
gonna
pretty good. But
be
hour
like,
and
remember that
a
time
half.
that the bugs ate us? I don't think they do that in this show necessarily. They just go to the next one
No.
like none of them ever happened.
Yeah, I mean the only ones that they kind of go back and revisit are the alien ones, which is basically the story arc of the whole
Yeah.
series. But yeah, they don't really revisit episodes. I mean, in the first season they do with the stretch guy.
Sorry, I'm catching up on some of the comments. I had something pop
Oh,
a,
that's right.
up I had to take care of.
It's the same car. There you go. That's what we should get a meme like of the office. It's the same photo.
It's the same.
It's the same car.
Corporate wants you to find the difference between this fan and this fan.
They're the same fan. So yeah, there it was. What did y'all think of this one?
I thought it was decent. It was acted well enough. Like I said, it had like the one thing they brought up. How'd the guy get up there? And they never brought it up again. And again, I think a nuke going off at the end would have been a 10 out of 10 episode for me. But other than that, I thought it was decent. I liked it better than the first one with the healer kid.
Yeah.
But the werewolf episode was the best one out of the three, I thought.
I think I agree with that. I think I like the second episode for this show better than the three, but better than the other two. The third one, I can see what they were going for. I think there was a little bit of something there they could have done a little bit something better with, but I don't hate it. The first episode probably was the weakest of the three we covered today.
Squeak, I didn't say I didn't do horse noises. I just wasn't going to do one today. And that beard is a Magog. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to anybody who knows what the Magog are and Andromeda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't they eventually get one on their crew or something? Or
Oh,
I
he
think
was
it was a
yeah.
different show.
They always had Rev Bim on their crew.
Yeah.
On their crew.
Yeah.
He got written out at some point, and then came back. We don't need to go down that. I can talk Andromeda for an hour.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I remember that show started after Hercules, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the behind the scenes was Kevin Sorbo. They would yell action, and he'd come running in carrying like one of the styrofoam rocks and go, "Oh crap, wrong show."
Oh
He'd
yeah.
run back out.
Yeah. There were a lot of
Yeah.
decent shows. But was it Andromeda? What was the other one? That was about that time. It was like in Australia or something.
Farscape.
Farscape.
Yeah, Farscape. That's it.
Yeah.
I love
Also
that
good.
one. That's my favorite one.
Um,
that one, to me, that one was better than Andromeda.
I liked it because it had the little puppet emperor guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like a puppet?
Yeah. See, you know Farscape too, yeah. But yeah, for these episodes, I think the second one was probably the strongest.
Yeah.
They're good. We're still in the first season of X-Files, so they're still kind of trying to find their footing. They don't have a whole lot of budget yet, so
Right.
all
Once
things
they hit
considered,
season 2, they start getting a little more money.
oh yeah, all things considered, I still think it's a solid first season. I've seen far worse first seasons.
Oh yeah, the guy that becomes a commander from Stargate Atlantis.
Yep.
He was in Farscape.
Both Ben Browder and Claudia Black joined
Claudia,
Stargate towards the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, she joins before him, doesn't she?
Yes.
I thought, yeah.
She was actually going to be a
they joined-
temporary, like special, like appearance.
Yeah, just a special
and
guest
then
or something.
Then they ended up bringing her back after he joined, or something like that.
She was very popular, is why.
I mean,
Yeah.
have you heard her voice?
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Why lie?
I'm gonna have to cut it because I gotta go.
All right.
no
Well,
worries,
thanks for having us on.
I think it worked.
Fun.
it worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
An hour and 2 hours and 30 minutes. So yeah.
Thanks to the chat
But
for
yeah,
being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interacting.
Thanks to the chat. Thanks to the new
And
people.
the new folks in the chat. Thank you very much. Do the YouTube things. Click the things. Tap the things. You know what to do. You're
all
smart.
the things. Sub, bell, and like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very close to 400. I've got like, last I looked, it was 14 more subscribers, and I'll be at 400. So yeah.
All right.
Let's
Beard,
get you there.
do you have anything you wanna plug?
Short version is I do gaming on my own channel, Dragon Age Origins, and something else. Haven't decided what the something else is. But also I'm here on After the Weekend. Beard out of the way. And on Mondays, and Roman and the Empire on Thursdays. Going to be jumping back into that. I took a little bit of a break. So yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Good stuff.
Yep. Shieldwall.
On Thursday, I'm going to be on Roman of the Empire's channel, and we'll be going over the movie Solomon Kane. So that should be a good time. And then I will be here next week for, I forgot, whatever we're doing. So
Yes, good one.
yeah.
I should be posting this week, and yeah. So
Okay, cool. So
yeah,
TBD.
next week we'll be doing next week we'll be doing The Prestige.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
God. Yeah, I love that movie. Okay, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, and John from the Blue Collar Guy will be joining us for that one.
So awesome.
Yeah, I will also be on Roman's show Thursday night, and it's Solomon Kane. It'll be a fun movie to go over. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. But yeah, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to the new people, and thanks for hanging with us. And thanks to Beard and Shieldwall. And
yep. Have a good night, everybody.
See y'all next time.
Yep.
Have a good week.
Yep.
Later, folks.
I've moved the exit.